All right.
Fuzzy little microphone.
So I'm just gonna get right into it. I've never really been much of a reader. I would not consider this a book channel. I would never consider that. This is a lifestyle channel. I do vlogs, sewing videos in the future, DIY videos, you know, a little bit of everything. And that can include a book video every once in a while because I'm on my reading renaissance. Yes, that is what I'm coining this term. I've been on a reading renaissance for maybe like 9 months now. I mean, if you were to ask me a year ago that I've read this many books so far, I don't know if I'd believe you. The year before last, I don't think I read one. And the first book that I read was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And since then, I made a goal at the beginning of the year to read one book a month. So I put on Goodreads a max 12 books. And by the end of May, I fucking crushed it, my dude. Early July, I have read 16 books this year, which I know, like, compared to other people who make book videos on YouTube, that's like not that many. People are reading 16 books a month. I don't have time for that. I have a normal day job. So that's what this video is. Here are all the books that I've read so far this year. First book was The Butterfly Project. I read this in early January. I was in kind of a like sensitive emotional state and I sobbed at the last 50 pages, but it was so good. I really loved this book and it gave me like winter vibes. It took place in New York. It's like two characters, Zelda and Beckett, I think. They have baggage, they have flaws, but it was beautiful and I really loved it. Highly recommend, 5 stars. Next is Confess by Colleen Hoover. I've read so far a little handful of Colleen Hoover, but I think I'm still gonna go in order of how I read the books. Confess I gave 3 stars. Not my favorite Colleen Hoover book, but still had some good plot twists. A little spicy here and there, but it was a little unrealistic at times. So I think that's why I gave it a 3 stars. Next, I read Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I tried to read this last year and I could not get into it. It was so slow for me to get into it. I saw some people bring it up again around earlier this year and I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it another shot. I already have it on my Kindle, which by the way, most of these books I did read on my Kindle. I love my Kindle. I have an emotional attachment to it. So I gave it another shot and I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. But yeah, it is very different from the other kind of like romance, rom-com books that I'm used to reading, but still enjoyed it. There is a sequel. I don't think I'll be reading it, but I did like the movie. Although I think there were some parts from the book that was left out in the movie, which I was a little disappointed by, but still enjoyed it. Regretting You, Colleen Hoover, 4th book and 2nd Hoover novel from this year. I gave 4 stars. I most likely loved it. The plot twist at the beginning, whew, oh my god, I like fell off my chair. But I wish there was more of the mom's perspective in this book, and that's why I gave it 4 stars. I couldn't relate as much to the younger daughter as much as I could the mom. I think it's just because my age is closer to the mom's age than the daughter's age, so. Next, I read the duet To Love Jason Thorne and To Hate Adam Connor by Ella Mays. I really liked them. They're cheesy and cute and like super saucy. Like if you want a smut novel, these are your these are your novels. These are like probably the sauciest novels I read this year so far. I think I liked the first book a little bit better. A lot of people say they like the second book, but just like the way that they meet in the second book doesn't make any sense to me. So I gave them both 4 stars. I enjoyed them, but it wasn't the great. Even if I think about it, it was maybe more like 3.75 to be honest. The next Colleen Hoover book I read, which might be my favorite one, is Ugly Love. I gave this 5 stars. I think I read this in like 30 hours. I just plowed through it. Miles, he might be my favorite Hoover boy. Just like, he did not treat Tate very nicely throughout most of the book, but then he like reveals this backstory to him of like why he's the way he is, and your heart rips in two. It's so sad, but it's really beautiful story, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Then I read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This book took the Instagram of book accounts by storm. I've seen everyone post about this book. So many quotes. My friend Carrie was obsessed with it, and she was the one that like really enticed me to read this one. I loved it. Super cute, small town romance. I did think that there were some cheesy parts, like the town is called Knockamout. So weird. And I really hated how he kept calling her baby. That's like another wreck from my friend Carrie. The Confidence of Wildflowers by Michaela Smeltzer. This had an age gap. It was like an 18 and a 31-year-old. And the things that he did for her, I felt incredibly creeped out by. Like, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it just was so unrealistic to me and not cute. I'm sorry, that might be such a contrasting opinion. I know so many people loved this book, but I gave it 4 stars, but I feel like it was really like 3.5 for me. I don't know, it was so frustrating at times. I just couldn't get into it. And there is a duet, there's a second book, but I couldn't read it. I just couldn't do it. So I had my friend Carrie give me a synopsis because I couldn't do it. Okay, last Colleen Hoover book that I've read so far this year is Heartbones. This one was cute. This was such a good summer romance book, and again, there's a huge plot twist. Colleen Hoover plot twist, she does them perfectly. It takes place in like Beach Town, Texas, and there's like this sandy, beachy boy and this troubled girl. Oh my gosh. What was her name? Bea. I love that character. She's just like, I wanted to give her a hug. I loved her stepsister Sarah in the book. Sarah was so sweet. She was the best. So I genuinely loved it. I gave it 4 stars. I think I like Ugly Love a little bit better, but still Heartbones was very, very good. Next is probably one of my favorite books that I've read, and that's The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my fucking God. This book, it was written like so good. I think they're gonna make a movie off of this. I really hope so. I gave it 5 stars. If I could give it 6 stars, I would give it 6 stars. I love this book so much. It's by far my favorite book that I read so far this year. There's just like a beautiful twist, like a third of the way through, that like makes everything that you read in that first chunk like think differently, because they kind of tell you everything that happens in the very beginning, but then it's all explained in detail towards the rest of the book. And then once that twist happens, you're like, wait, so how did this and how did that? It's so good, and I cried at the end. Okay, another one of my faves that I read this year is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is probably my favorite like romance book, rom-com book. I loved it so much that I bought a hard copy version, which I can like bring it out and show you like an actual booktuber. I did not read the paperback. I read it on Kindle, but I bought the physical copy so I could like highlight and annotate the actual book. I did want to do that and then send this to my friend so she could read it. I just loved it. I loved Charlie. I loved Nora. I have a playlist on Spotify saved of a Charlie and Nora Spotify playlist that someone made that I listen to sometimes and just like cry to myself. Nora and Charlie both work in the book industry. Nora is an agent and Charlie is an editor, and they're kind of like enemies to lovers trope, but also small town romance trope. It's just so cute. I love it. I love it so much. It's another great like small town romance summer book if you're into that. I just really recommend it. I loved it so much. Normal People was the first book I read this year that's like a physical copy that I read. I did have it also on Kindle, and sometimes at night I would read on my Kindle instead of reading the book. This book frustrated me so much. I did annotate it. There's a couple little tabs in here, but oh my God. Connell and Marianne frustrate me to no end. I gave this 4 stars because it was really well written. I think it was a good story, but It frustrated me so bad. So 4 stars. I know it's controversial, but I feel like people either love this or hate this. So the book I read is also a physical book that I read. This one is tabbed way more. I really needed like a lighthearted, fun book to read after Normal People because that book really got me down in the dumps. The setup, by the way, this is called by Lizzie Dent, is really cute. It takes place in England, and the main character, Mara, basically meets the psychic who tells her that she's going to meet her one true love. And so basically she just like goes through this book trying to perfect herself for her one true love, and in turn finds herself. It's kind of cheesy, but I loved her roommate so much, and I did write a lot of little tabs and annotate this book, which is like the first time I actually did that in a book. I mainly bought it because there's an Emily Henry quote on the cover and she wrote book lovers, so that's mainly why I bought this. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I saw this was on Kindle Unlimited and wanted to read it. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about Christina Lauren. I want to read All the Perfects. Is that what it's called? It's so cute. It reminds me of like New Girl, Jess from New Girl meets, I don't know, it was just so cute, and I really loved the friendship of Hazel and Josh. It really didn't have that many like drama or turmoil at any point. The characters just got along really well, and they were grown-ups, and so there wasn't really any crazy drama. I just overall just like enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. And the book that I literally just finished this morning is Better Than the Movies by LYNN Painter, who commented on my Instagram post and reposted my Instagram on hers. Oh my god, I was fangirling when I saw that. I really loved this. It's a YA novel, first one I read so far this year, and I tend to stay away from YA novels because I just like can't relate to the characters. I can't put myself in their shoes. But Liz, who is the main character of this book, is a senior in high school, and I felt like I was her. I could relate so much from my senior year in high school and kind of romanticizing every step in my head and wanting to be asked out by a crush I had for prom and not being asked out. Each chapter has like a quote from a rom-com, which is also really freaking cute, and I highlighted the crap out of my Kindle Unlimited version of the book, so I kind of want to get the physical copy to like make little notes because I really did like it. I gave it 5 stars, which is pretty high, but I wouldn't say it's like a high 5. It's like a low 5 because it was really cute. There was a little bit of conflict at certain points, and there's like depth to it, which I was surprised by for being a YA novel, but it was really cute and I enjoyed it a lot. And that's all the books that I read this year. Currently I have my goal set at 18, but I feel like I should up it to 24 or something. I feel like I'm really going balls to the wall. I feel like I'm really thriving in my reading renaissance right now. Let me know what books you recommend based on all the things that I've rambled. I have a Goodreads, so feel free to follow me or friend me on there, and we can be on this reading renaissance together. And if you enjoyed this content, subscribe. I just moved to the East Coast. I'm originally a West Coast girly, so there's going to be a lot of vlogs about my just transition living in the East Coast. But anyways, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. All my socials are below. See you later. Bye.